I'd like to do is just tell you just a little bit about Rochester Software Associates. Not everybody knows who we are. We are implant specialists. Probably 95, 98% of our customers are implants, so that makes us, I think, fairly unique, but it also makes us experts. Basically, a print job with our software can be submitted from almost anywhere. It can then be transformed to print pretty much on any production device. With ticketing, that's kind of our secret sauce. We feel that nobody benefits if the software doesn't actually get implemented and used. So we'd like to share our expertise with you from these folks.
Best practices for implementation, well, getting other people besides yourself to have input is important. Of course you want to, the big thing is keep IT involved from the very beginning. There have been cases where people went ahead with a system, I think Penn State might have been one where they made a decision on web to print only to find out that IT had its own process for purchasing, and then they had to go back and kind of sell it to IT after the fact. So start with IT. They could be difficult to work with, yes, but as long as you give them respect.
So early on in the process, one of the things that we see is that you've got to spend some time, you've got to set aside this time to work with the vendors, right? A lot of times we know everybody's so busy, you're already 110% allocated, and then somebody comes to you and says, you know, we want you to implement this system. So now you've got to print all the stuff you also have to manage your people, and then you've got to set aside time to implement a system that you may or may not know everything about. So one of the things that we sort of recommend is that you know, you work with your boss or whoever to make sure that this is a priority and set aside the time to do it.
And there's usually stumbling blocks that inhibit the success of software programs. One or two that I find often is a lack of buy-in from those people who have to use it, and then customers who have to take advantage of it. So the question is, you know, there's a technology aspect of it, and how do you get IT to support you and the implementation working? And then how do you maintain, or how are you successful in making sure that your customers use it? So one of the things that I talk a lot about in these instances is, have you put the time and effort into getting the buy-in? Have you gotten the buy-in from your staff? Because your staff can actually, believe it or not, sabotage your efforts. There are people who will believe that a technology like this will jeopardize their job. There could be customer service reps who are saying, I'm not going to really encourage people to do this. I'd rather have them call me on the phone. So you've got to get the buy-in of your own staff, and you also have to get the buy-in from your customers, and those are two completely different things. But the answer is really the same for both groups, which is involve them early in the process.
In the middle, we're sort of talking about you know, adoption and kind of marketing, right? So if you can't, you know, promote yourself and get things out there, you know, one of the lines I put in the ebook is that, you know, that you might still be in the basement, but you know, with the internet, everything is possible. But if nobody knows your URL, they're never going to find you again, right? So it's the same kind of thing. You'll still be kind of an unknown quantity.
Something that I did recently in an implementation of ISO really helped me better appreciate video. So one of the things that you can do, and I use this in the ISO training program, is you can actually videotape someone using that and use that as a tool, and you know, allow them to click on it to see, okay, here's how I access it, here's how I get an estimate, here's how I download, or here's how I upload a file to it. So training customers to use it and making it incredibly user-friendly is essential.
We're going to move on to the late stage. And this is a little later through in the implementation where there's production that's happening, automation might start, and then kind of expanding your reach and influence and adding things to your web-to-print system.
I want to share with you a story which was really interesting to me about an implementation of a web-to-print solution that was not accepted at all, and what happened as a result of it. I can't really mention exactly who the customer was, but let's just say it was a company that asks their customers to order pizza online. And they had practically zero adoption rate, and they had no idea why. And this is something that can happen late in the process where you implement a technology and you're not getting acceptance into it, and what do you do about it? The best thing to really do is to have conversations or actually watch people the way they interact with it to try to find out where the bugs are, and they might not even be bugs, but where they're getting stuck in the process. You want to definitely spend some time to try to identify who your laggards are in the adoption cycle and see if you can get them on board.
So get used to doing the manual processing first and making sure when you hit send that it comes out the way it's supposed to. After you've had some experience with that, the shop staff is getting good with it. Then look at those things that you can automate.
Yeah, to follow up what Vince was saying, I think all of the major web-to-print vendors that I can think of have user groups, and I know from talking to the people at them, they're just great experiences. Sometimes people even pick the user group over another implant conference when they can only go to one, but it's a good opportunity to share some experiences.
And I think that's it. Thanks for coming, everybody. Appreciate it.